shouldn't have been flying as a matter of judgment, but they say actually they were not. They were only allowed to fly under visual flight rules, and that they say that morning was clearly not a morning to be flying under visual flight rules because the visibility was so horrible.
And not only saying that it was negligent, they're saying that the decision to do that and go 180 miles an hour in the fog was reckless. And she is saying that this was a severe case of misjudgment by the pilot and by the helicopter company.
There's really a lot in this lawsuit, and there's two main themes, I think. The first one is the one that you guys have been discussing, the fact that the helicopter company, Island Express, was not certified to fly using instrumentation, only through visual means, and in this kind of weather you can't do that effectively. The second theme is that this pilot had previously been cited for doing this exact same thing, flying in inclement weather when he shouldn't have been doing so back in 2015. And Vanessa Bryant, through her lawyers, makes a big case that the helicopter company acted negligently, actually recklessly, by allowing him to once again fly in this kind of weather.
And Jason, we should say that the word reckless is relevant here because what it opens up is punitive damages. And Kobe Bryant, look, I mean, when somebody tragically dies, in terms of their capacity to earn money,
what they had brought in.
I mean, Kobe Bryant could have made untold millions of dollars. And Gigi, had a lot of, the
potential as well. Yeah.
So, look, I mean, I don't see how this helicopter company survives because there are going to be potentially 9 people suing the company. But I don't see how they survive this. The amount of money that's going to be doled out. But clearly they must have had an insurance policy and they're going to claim against the insurance.
Right.
But this was, to me, I think what's going to happen is that if this ever goes to trial, and who knows, but when that helicopter started circling around the Burbank airport, around the LA Zoo,
right,
they were circling because of bad weather.
Bad weather.
And you know that that's going to become a really relevant fact that the pilot had to make a decision then.
Had to make a decision, but also because he was flying under visual flight rules, because that's all the company was allowed to do, and that's all he was allowed to do. They couldn't land because they were sitting there under and everybody has said since the tragedy has said, why didn't they just land at Burbank Airport? And they couldn't that morning because they weren't flying under instrumentation. And they had to be flying under instrumentation to land there. So,
but they could have gone back to Orange County. I mean, you never know what they could have done. You never know what they could have done.
But I'm saying, as far as the whole point where they really made this point about them not being that they could only fly under visual flight rules.
Right, and again, exacerbated, and they mentioned this by the fact that the helicopter was going 180 miles an hour
in a steep incline,
in blinding fog, in a steep descent.
Yeah.
And just for a second, to turn it back to money, and that's ultimately what civil lawsuits are about, even in the face of tragedy. We talked about how this helicopter company could possibly survive, given Kobe's obvious earning potential, given Gigi's earning potential, not to mention the punitive damages. It's hard to imagine that they're insured, that the helicopter company would be insured or have assets that would be in the tens or potentially hundreds of millions of dollars that are possibly needed to survive this kind of lawsuit. They're never going to figure that a bankruptcy filing is going to happen soon.
Hi, I'm Troy from New Haven.